So how do you even begin to think about someone's profound, life-changing spiritual experience? I mean, in our scientific world, is it just a weird glitch in the brain, or is it something more? It's a really tough question, right? Well, today we're going to look at a fascinating solution from the philosopher and psychologist William James. Let's get into it.
All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with the big clash, saint or patient. Then we'll get right into James's genius fruits not roots test. After that, we'll see how he actually decoded these experiences, wrestle with the problem of believing someone's incredible story, and finally, wrap it all up with a whole new way to judge these things.
Okay, Section 1, Saint or Patient. This is all about the clash between spiritual claims and medical science. And really, this conflict goes way back. For centuries, these two ways of seeing the world have been totally at odds.
And it really all comes down to this one question. Are these profound spiritual visions a sign of something divine, or are they just a symptom of a disease? I mean, is that person connecting with God, or do they just need to see a doctor? That's the core debate we're digging into.
This really lays it all out, doesn't it? Take a look. On one hand, you have the medical route. St. Paul's famous vision on the road to Damascus, some would say that was just an epileptoid seizure. And George Fox, the founder of the Quakers, he could be written off as a hereditary degenerate. But then, you look at the spiritual fruit. Paul's experience sparked a conversion that literally changed the world. Fox's visions led to the founding of a whole new religious movement. So, which one is it?
So, there's a name for this purely scientific viewpoint. It's called medical materialism. And the idea is pretty radical. It's the assumption that all our mental states, everything from deep religious feeling to a scientist's brilliant theory, are caused by something physical. You know, your brain chemistry, your liver, whatever. Just think about that for a second. It means that, from this point of view, an atheist's conviction and a Methodist faith, they both come from the same kind of biological stuff.
And this is where things get really interesting. William James steps in and offers a brilliant way to cut right through this whole mess. He basically says, look, let's stop having this argument we can never win.
And his whole idea is captured in this one powerful quote, "By their fruits ye shall know them, not by their roots." This is a total game changer. What James is saying is, hey, forget about where the experience came from. Stop digging for the root because honestly, it's a dead end.
Let's break this down. His test is super simple. Step 1, stop arguing about the root. Seriously, whether it's divine or biological, we can't actually know. It's inaccessible to us. We just can't prove it either way. So, step 2, start looking at the fruit. What are the effects of the experience? How did it change the person's life? What did they do afterward? Because that is something we can actually see, observe, and judge.
Right, so the only real solid evidence we have for an experience's value is what it actually produces in someone's life. Did it make them a better person, more compassionate, more engaged with the world? That's the test. The practice, the actions, not the mysterious source.
Okay, so James didn't just stop there. It wasn't enough to just have a test. He actually wanted to understand these things, so he created a framework for decoding what he called mystical experience.
And he came up with 4 key marks of a mystical state. First up is ineffability. This just means you can't describe it. Words literally fail. Second, it has a noetic quality. This isn't just a feeling. It feels like you've received some kind of profound knowledge or insight. Third is transiency. These states don't last. They're quick, maybe a few minutes, a couple of hours max. And finally, passivity. The person feels like they're not in the driver's seat anymore, like their own will is gone and they're being guided or held by some superior power. All right, so now we've got a framework for understanding these things, but this brings up another huge, messy problem. What about believing other people? How should we treat their personal testimony when they tell us about these incredible experiences?
And this is where you really see two different philosophies clash. On one side, you've got what's called the principle of testimony. The idea here is simple. We should probably just believe what people tell us, unless we have a really good reason not to. Give them the benefit of the doubt. But then on the other side, you have the principle of skepticism. Thinkers like David Hume and Bertrand Russell. Their whole thing is, whoa, hold on. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You can't just take someone's word for it when they say they've met God. And Bertrand Russell had this famous, kind of snarky question that just nails the skeptical point. He asked, what's really the difference between a man who fasts and sees God and a man who drinks too much and sees snakes? I mean, it's a great question, right? If both are just the result of a physical state, why is one holy and the other just a hallucination?
And this is where James's whole idea comes back in, and it's just so incredibly useful. It gives us a middle path.
The fruit of the experience can act as a kind of second check on the story. We don't have to get bogged down proving if it was really God. Instead, we can just ask, okay, so what were the results? What was the fruit of this vision?
So let's bring this all home. We're looking at a new way to judge, a way that says the outcome matters a whole lot more than the origin.
So if you take one thing away from all this, it should be this. The ultimate test isn't about proving where an experience came from, it's about looking at its impact. That's it. It's that simple.
And that really leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? When we're faced with these kinds of profound experiences, either in our own lives or someone else's, how are we going to judge them? Are we going to get stuck on their mysterious origins, or are we going to look at their tangible outcomes? William James's philosophy puts that choice right back in our hands.